Good morning. I am back. I decided I'd get all my videos out of the way. I want to just give you how I am doing sourdough bread. You don't have to do sourdough bread. I am a newbie. I don't know everything. I just enjoy doing it. And I've got many that have asked me how I do it, what I'm doing. And so I wanted to come on here and just give you just the newbie stuff that I have so you're not intimidated in making sourdough bread. I know Stacy and them are on here. I see Stacy on here. I think Mary's, I think somebody else in your family's making it. I'm not sure. Hey, Wade Brasher. And I see other people joining in. But look, I'm a newbie. This is absolutely fun. I am addicted to making sourdough bread. For nearly 2 weeks, I had been making it daily, and I've tried different recipes, and I'm just going to give you mine and what I prefer, and you can do it or not, but I hope that you enjoy these videos. So today, I'm making a sourdough loaf, and I'm just going to walk you through this loaf in different videos that I do today. And I hope it just helps you be less intimidated. And so for me, I bought a sourdough starter off Amazon. I was not impressed with the first one I bought. Then I bought this one from Knead, K-N-E-A-D, Ace, A-C-E, which is artisanal sourdough starter culture. And it is the San Francisco style. San Francisco style artisanal sourdough starter culture. And you're welcome, Amy. Hey, Kathy. And it looks like this, which I prefer. It looked like this. You see those flakes? That's actually my sourdough starter that I saved some so I could do another sourdough starter later. And so it's going to look like flaky like this. The good thing about this, and this is my favorite, Rich loves it, Matthew loves it, I love it. And there's nothing like having fresh bread every day. And oh yes, that's what it is. Thank you, Amy. Knead Ace Starter Culture San Francisco style. I'm telling you, this bread is beyond phenomenal. And again, I'm going to give you my recipe. The recipes that other people use, from cookbooks to videos, they don't use as much water as I use, and I've used less water. I'm just not as crazy about the denseness of it. It's too dense for me. I prefer it a little less dense, and so I'll walk you through my recipe. Just understand when you see me do it today, it is very sticky. And if you're not used to working with sticky dough, don't be intimidated. Just jump in and do it. Like kids playing with Play-Doh. It's a whole different dough. The good thing is it's really no kneading at all. It's just stretching and pulling, and I'll walk you through that. And you just let it do its own thing and rising throughout the day. And so this particular starter comes with a phenomenal, okay, little pamphlet. It's in there. And so I bought a bigger jar, not necessarily Knead Ace. I just bought a big tulip jar at first. But I really use this mason jar for my regular sourdough starter. And it walks you through when you get it. It's going to look like this. And it's going to tell you to pour the packet in a jar. And then after you pour the packet, you empty the contents in here. You add just 2 ounces of lukewarm water. That's all you do. And you just stir it around. And so you'll let it be like this for about 3 hours. For 3 hours. And then during those 3 hours, you'll just go back at 4 different times and just stir it. That's all you do. Is that not easy? That's not intimidating, right? And then step 2, this is where you do what's called feeding. your sourdough starter is going to be hungry, so it wants to be fed. So what does that mean? You just mix water and flour. And I don't measure it out. I really don't. I did it with this initially, but generally they'll say, put these 3 things of flour to these 3 things of water. And I just don't do that. I just do a little bit, and I just make sure it has pancake consistency, thick pancake consistency. And so this is, and look, I always keep my patch on my starter, and this starter is beyond phenomenal. That's all I can tell you. And I don't know if the patch is helping it, but I keep it on there, and I've had it on there ever since day one. And so you can see this starter. I got it out of the refrigerator this morning. So, but before I get to that, let me just get to your initial starter. And so it tells you step 2, you feed it once by adding 1 ounce of all-purpose flour, and you combine that with water. You do 1 ounce of flour, 2 ounces of water, and that's pretty much what I do daily, okay? And I'll tell you how to do that daily. And that's your first feeding. And then you're going to wait about 24 hours, and then you're going to do another feeding because you're getting your starter strong. It's not strong enough on your first day. Even in videos that I watch, thank goodness I started watching other videos, it's really not strong enough until after 10 days of feeding it daily, okay? And after it, because it's getting the bacteria, it's working out, it's creating more bacteria, it's taking out bacteria, it's doing its thing. And so it's 10 days that it really is strong enough to do your first loaf. And so step 4 is you'll discard some of that and you'll put it in another jar. You don't want to throw your discard away. First of all, it's alive. I don't want to throw alive things away. Second of all, you're going to use your discard. Like I used some discard. I made some extra chips. Just in case something happens to my starter, I have a backup. And so then you'll do daily feeding. It says to put it in the fridge here, but just FYI, I didn't put it in the fridge. I just fed it every day. And so I would feed it about 1 ounce of flour to 2 ounces of water. And I just did that daily for 10 days, every single day. Discard, put a little in a discard jar, which I have a discard jar and I'll show you later. And I just put that discard in there and I just keep feeding it daily. And I did it for 10 days before it was strong enough to get my first loaf. And I'll show you how to do that in what's called the water test, where it floats. So you see these big bubbles in here? You know, initially, when you start your starter, when you first start it, it's going to have what's called a false start. What does that mean? It looks strong enough. It might even float. Mine did. But it's a false start. It's truly not strong enough yet. And so you really want to wait 10 days thereabout before it's strong enough to make a good loaf of sourdough bread. And so what I did after 10 days, making my first loaf, then I would put it in the refrigerator. Okay, so this is my daily loaf process. And when I saw a video of a man in England that made a loaf a day, I thought, why is he making a loaf a day? That is crazy. My loaves that I make are small. Okay, they're not big. I make daily loaves most of the time because we're eating the sourdough bread. Remember, it's low in the glycemic index. I've done white wheat, white flour combo, unbleached, Bob's Meal, organic. But my favorite is just white flour. It is going to be lower on the glycemic index. It's not bad for you because the sourdough yeast makes it lower on the glycemic index. It's going to be healthier to your body. It's going to have that lactobacillus. And that's what your body wants, is that bacteria. And so at about 4 a.m. in the morning, I get this jar out. Let it get, and it had about this much in it this morning, very little. Like, I keep getting discard, that by the time I put it, I'll put this in my bread today, which I'll do in about 2 to 3 hours. And I'll show you the float test and it being strong enough, and the starter floating, which indicates it's strong enough to make a loaf of bread. And so what I take out of here is I don't have any more discard. It's going to go back into the refrigerator as it is. Sometimes, maybe once a week, I'll feed it more, which will cause me to have discard. And sometimes I feed my discard jar. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I just know what I feel like doing, okay? I'm not an expert. I'm a newbie. I know nothing, okay? And so I take this jar out at about 4 a.m. in the morning, because that's when we're getting up. Or if we get up to work out, then it's at 3 a.m. in the morning. And so I take this out and I let it get room temperature at about 1.5 to 2 hours. And then I feed it a little. And so I fed this at about 6 a.m. this morning. And hopefully it should be about here when I get ready. It's rising. It's been rising. It takes a while to rise. I do at about 6 hours of rising, generally thereabout 6 hours from when I fed it. And it should rise to hopefully about here. And then I will start my sourdough loaf. And so after I start my sourdough loaf, I'm through with this starter. I put it back in the refrigerator and I repeat the same process the next day. So this is video 1. It's about starter. And people make their own starter. I don't know how to do that. You can find videos of how to make your own starter. All I know is I really enjoy this Need Ace starter, a San Francisco style artisanal sourdough bread. It is phenomenal. It's easy. It comes with easy instructions and pictures. It doesn't just have instructions, it has pictures, which I love. I like to read it, but I also want pictures. I get it off Amazon, Elda, this Need Ace. And I'll show you later that I did get a sourdough kit that has rattan baskets that I'll put in the fridge, because understand, I'm not going to be able to eat this sourdough bread until tomorrow. I can't bake this until tomorrow. So it's about a 24-hour process before you can actually bake the bread to really get a good loaf. And so this artisanal Nice Aid sourdough starter culture, San Francisco style, Amazon.com. And I'll show you the other things that I have in making my sourdough bread that are essential for me. And I bought an old Dutch oven. I collect vintage pots, cookware. That is the main collection. That is the only collection that I have. I love vintage cookware, and God has been good to me where I get it at good prices and find them in mint condition. And so I bought an old Dutch oven for like $30, about almost a 6-quart off of eBay from the mid-century modern era from Europe, from Denmark. And it's phenomenal. And it is dedicated only to my sourdough bread. So I'll show you the next thing later. Next, after this video, I will be doing a video with my mixing bowl, my starter, and I'll give you my recipe in making the sourdough bread that I make. And you can do it, or you can just observe. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll see you a little bit later.